Hey everyone, welcome to another Nerdcore review. Today we're going to be talking about Dark Knight's Metal issue number 5. I'm really excited to talk about this issue because just reading it initially, it became pretty apparent that this was one of my favorite issues in the series, if not my favorite. I should probably explain why though, so let's jump right into the story. So our issue opens up with Barbados, who's talking to his Dark Knights, particularly the Batman Who Laughs, who's my favorite Dark Knight. He's pretty terrifying. But the issue opens up with them talking, and the Batman Who Laughs is basically explaining to Barbados that, despite Superman no longer being their battery, they've sunk the Earth low enough to where he can begin to call upon the dark armies. And then that's when we cut to the Forge of Worlds, where we see Superman and Batman, who are exactly where we left them off last time, fighting Carter Hall, but now he's like this giant hawk thing. He's supposed to be the dragon of the Forge now, and I absolutely love all the scenes with them involved. It just feels like a monster movie, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, we basically just see Batman and Superman saying that they need to find whatever light metal they can, because if you saw our previous videos, you would understand that they need more light nth metal in order to fight back the Dark Knights. So that's what they're doing in the Forge of Worlds. They're looking for that metal right now. And one interesting part about this scene is the fact that the dynamics between Superman and Batman are very much reversed, because normally you would expect Superman to be the very optimistic, very hope-filled person, but in this case it's actually Batman, and Superman is being more pessimistic. He's like, it's late, it's too late, the Forge of Worlds is too dark now, there's no way we're going to get the metal we need. But Bruce is like, I've already lost hope once, I'm not going to lose that hope again, so we need to keep going, we're going to find it. And like I said, this scene is just a lot of fun. It was interesting seeing that. And another thing that made it really interesting is that because this is a place where worlds are born, we see a bunch of nightmares forming around them, especially because of how it's complete darkness at this point, or mostly darkness anyway. But we see a bunch of nightmares forming around Superman and Bruce, which I thought was really cool to see and interesting. It makes for some really good panels. After we see all these nightmares, though, we cut away to Atlantis, where Deathstroke and Aquaman were left off, and they finally reach to the bottom of the hole they had entered in the previous issue, and it actually leads them to the center of the Earth. And when they get to the center of the Earth, they see this core, and they immediately recognize that this core contains some nth metal. They just need to figure out how to open it, so they're going to have to operate some machinery. I'm just going to point out that I really like how Deathstroke was drawn in this section. Everyone knows that I'm a huge fan of Capullo, but the way he draws Deathstroke, it's so good. But yeah, from that scene, we then move on to Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific, who were locked up by Starro in the previous issue. And just this scene, for reasons you'll see very shortly, it's one of the best in the issue, because they're trying to figure out how to get out of this cell that they're trapped in, when all of a sudden this guard walks up to them and says, I think I can help. That's when Green Lantern's like, who the heck are you? And then the guard changes forms. You might know where this is going, but the guard changes forms because it turns out that it's actually Martian Manhunter who's there to rescue them. I completely, oh god, just seeing the scene, I was smiling so much because it's been so long since we've seen Martian Manhunter, and if there's any writer I know who's going to do him justice, it's Scott Snyder, so I'm really excited to see him in this issue and in the next issue. But he's there to break them out. He basically explains the reason why he hasn't been in all of Rebirth, and that reason is essentially that he's been out in space looking for answers related to metal and the dark energy and why these worlds are showing up and whatnot. But he breaks them out and basically tells them that he can help them take down Starro so that they can get away and save Plastic Man. Another thing that they reveal in this little conversation they have is that Plastic Man's origins are actually tied to metal, which I think is really cool. Because we all know that Plastic Man, or at least most of us know, that Plastic Man got his powers from falling into a vat of chemicals. It's a very generic, back in the old day way of giving people powers, but it turns out that whatever that chemical was probably, Mr. Terrific says that it was probably either the Court of Owls or Star Labs trying to replicate the powers of the cosmic metals, and that's because of that Plastic Man has powers, and he's tied to the metals. They also reveal that the reason he's been in a plastic egg is because of how he's tied to these metals. He's been getting dark urges to, become evil, because of the fact that, the metals are all in the control of darkness right now. And so he encased himself in that egg in order to prevent himself from actually doing anything he would regret. After seeing Martian Manhunter, which again I love, I didn't mention this earlier, but I love how Capullo drew Martian Manhunter, so if it's at all possible, I would absolutely love to see a Martian Manhunter solo series in Rebirth drawn by Capullo. That would be incredible. So DC, you know what to do. But after that awesome scene, We then go to another pretty awesome scene of Wonder Woman who's fighting Black Adam, because that's where we left her off in the last issue. I'm going to say this again because I said this the last time, but her action scenes are so good in this book. So good. So awesome job, Capullo. So, yeah, we just basically see her fight Black Adam because of the fact that he's actually on Barbados' side, as we found out last time. And he's basically just trying to stop her from finding the mace. Carter Hall's mace, which is made out of nth metal, could help them defeat Barbados. But then after this scene, we then cut to another fight scene where it's Carter Hall trying to take down both Bruce and Superman, and they're just kind of trying to escape. They're jumping from like rock to rock in the Forge of Worlds, and then Bruce realizes something. He realizes that they need to jump deeper into the Forge of Worlds because that's the only place where they might have any bright metal left. And Superman, of course, like I was saying, he's being more pessimistic. He thinks this is crazy, but that's when he spots something. He spots a spark, a source of light metal, so they have to jump. They have to jump straight into this like lava-looking pit because that's where the light seems to be coming from. And I just thought this scene in general was really, really incredible because Bruce gives this really, really inspirational speech about how like Carter Hall, the real Carter Hall, is long dead, but that he was one of the greatest detectives, if not the greatest, in all of Earth's history, and that this monster that's in front of them isn't the actual Carter Hall, and that they're not going to lose hope and whatnot. But then, after this awesome speech, which you should buy the issue to actually read, they jump into the pit, and then we cut away back to Wonder Woman, who was thrown into a wall by Black Adam, and she's now in this wall. She looks kind of defeated, but, you know, this is Wonder Woman. She's not going to give up. And that's when she spots a crack on the other side of the wall, and she looks into it and sees that that's where the mace was hidden, so she starts reaching for it. But when she does reach for it, Black Adam shows up to pull her away. And in this next part, you know, Black Adam tells her, there's no reason for you to do this. There's, like, no hope, like, for you guys. You know, it's either be on Barbados' side or everybody's going to die. And I know, like, I know what it takes to survive, so you should just give up or join our side. And that's when Wonder Woman tells them that she's not going to give up because, you know, they need the metal to beat Barbados. They know that with this metal they can beat Barbados. And then she basically says, I know I can also beat you with this metal. And that's when she pulls the mace from behind the wall and just smacks Black Adam across the face. I love how this panel was drawn. Again, I love all of Wonder Woman's scenes in this book. Her action scenes are super, super well drawn, and I really like them. But then, shortly after she does this to Black Adam, we just see her get knocked out. We just see blood and her tiara flying. And that's when the next page reveals that the Batman who laughed just shot her with bullets made out of eighth metal, which he also mentions that it's the same metal that her invisible jet is made out of. And he also points out if you even have that invisible jet on this Earth, which, you know, is a good question because I don't remember seeing it in like New 52 or anything, but yeah. So I thought that was really cool. And again, it just shows how terrifying the Batman who laughs is. Like, out of all of the Batmen, he doesn't seem to have any powers, but he's the most intimidating out of all of them. And if I had to like go up against any of them, I'd be most afraid of him, which is great. So yeah, after he takes down Wonder Woman, he basically tells her that he thanks her for doing their job because it turns out that like they planned for them to go searching for this nth metal because they knew they couldn't get it themselves. But if they got them to do it for them, then they could take it from them because it's actually the last piece they need to sink the Earth into complete darkness now that Superman is gone. And that's when we cut back to Aquaman and to Deathstroke, who were also ambushed after getting metal. They're attacked, but except for that, they're attacked by Black Manta, who is also on the side of Barbados and the Batman. And it turns out, again, with Wonder Woman, this was also just a big trap to get all the metal. And we see Deathstroke is completely taken out of commission for now. I don't know if he's dead, but he's definitely down for the count for now. And, you know, we see Black Manta with a bunch of the Batmen ready to fight Arthur to death, basically. We keep seeing this theme of ambushing because now we cut to Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Martian Manhunter, who managed to take back the egg. And can I say, it's so fun seeing Martian Manhunter back. I absolutely love seeing him transform and fight alongside Hal and Mr. Terrific. It's a lot of fun. I hope we get to see more of Martian Manhunter after this series. But they managed to get Plastic Man back from Starro, and this part was a little weird. I don't know if I don't think my issue was like misprinted or anything, but it kind of just cuts like a really, really abrupt cut away to the Phoenix cannon after they get Plastic Man back. But it just cuts to the cannon, and they're like, we can activate this in order to raise the planet if we use the like light metals, like the remaining nth metals. But then it turns out that there's something off about the machine, and that's when more of the Batmen show up. The Merciless, the Doomsday one, I'm forgetting his name right now, and the Green Lantern one. I think the Green Lantern one's called the Dawnbreaker. I forget, but they also show up because again, the entire league is being ambushed. All of this was a trap. They needed somebody to get the metal for them, and the league did just that. So they're ready to like attack and take the metal from them. Because it turns out that the reason that they want this metal is to again use the cannon, because it's the final piece that's needed to sink the Earth into darkness. So after we see them get ambushed, it cuts back to Wonder Woman and the Batman Who Laughs, and again he's just explaining why they did what they did, why they set all these traps, and he just leaves her. He leaves her to her death. He says, it's over for you. Like, you guys are meaningless. You're all minuscule in the grand scheme of things. You're just pawns. And I'm gonna leave you to do what Wonder Woman does best and fight until the very end, even though it won't matter at all. Another thing he mentioned, though, this isn't too important to the story, but I thought it was interesting, was that on some Earths, Bruce and Wonder Woman have children apparently, but then the Batman Who Laughs, being terrifying, mentions that he killed them all. So yeah, do what you will with that information. But that's when we're left with Wonder Woman, who now has to fight Lady Blackhawk. And what she does is pretty great, because she wraps her hand with her lasso of truth and just punches Kendra across the face, and that's when it snaps her out of it. She's no longer Lady Blackhawk. She's back to being her normal self, but she gets to keep the awesome costume, which I'm glad about because it looks really, really good. After this, after Kendra's back to her senses, Wonder Woman explains what's going on, and they decide to follow the Batman Who Laughs into the portal that he left through, and so they do just that. They jump in, and that's when they end up in this like nightmare plane. The Earth is really sunk really, really low, and we just see all these nightmare versions of different League members and different villains, and it's pretty terrifying. Like, we see this Cheetah, Wonder Woman crossover type of thing, and, it's all of these nightmare versions of the Justice League versus just Kendra Saunders and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's a badass, but I don't know if she can handle this on her own, just saying. And after we see this, it cuts quickly to Superman and Batman, who are sinking deeper and deeper into the, like, lava pit looking thing, and it looks like it's the end for them. Like, they took that leap of faith hoping they'd find the brightness, but their cells are just deteriorating and they're disappearing. It looks pretty bad for our heroes right now. We see they all seem pretty defeated, especially Wonder Woman, but that's when she tells Kendra Saunders, we need to yell, and Kendra Saunders is like, why would we yell, and that's when Wonder Woman says, we're not going to yell for help, it's going to be a battle cry. And I absolutely love that, just because Wonder Woman is being super inspirational. She's not giving up. Like, the odds are totally against them, but it's Wonder Woman. She's not giving up. And that's when it leads to this awesome shot. Kind of reminds me of the Dark Knight Returns cover, but this awesome shot of her jumping into battle with all these different nightmare versions of the League. And that's where the issue leaves off. I absolutely love this issue. It's so much fun. The art is amazing as always. I always mention the art, but that's because Capullo has really solid art. And, like, what I loved about this issue the most is not only the return of Martian Manhunter, but the fact that it's way less exposition. That was my main problem with all the previous issues, is that we have way more exposition than, like, action or anything else. But now that they've set everything up, they've spent all these issues setting it up, and it's so worth it, because now we have these awesome scenes. I can't wait for the next issue. I'm going to give this issue a 9.75 out of 10, just because I want to give it a little bit of room in case the next issue is somehow even better. But this was an amazing issue, so definitely pick it up, read it for yourself, because it's so worth it. Now it's time for this week's Comics Haul. First up, we have Batman number 40, written by Tom King with art by Joel Jones. Since the beginning, the friendship between Batman and Wonder Woman has stood at the heart of the DC universe. Now that friendship is coming apart, and as it does, the universe itself begins to crumble. Our next issue is The Amazing Spider-Man number 795, written by Dan Slott with art by Mike Hawthorne. Is there a doctor in the house? Spidey pays the Sanctum Sanctorum a visit looking for a consult from the Master of Mystic Arts, Dr. Stephen Strange, but finds himself face to face with the Master of Mischief and new Sorcerer Supreme, Loki. Last but not least, we have Spider-Man Deadpool number 27, written by Robbie Thompson with art by Chris Bachalo. The Chameleon has gained access to a secret X-Shield facility, which is a sentence Peter Parker hoped would never be written. Wade Wilson, on the other hand, completely ignorant of just how bad the situation really is. Well, that's all we have for you in this video, but as always, be sure to subscribe, and since you're here, why not check out more of our videos? Thanks, and I'll see you next time here at the Nerd Core.